Alrighty, hello and welcome to my YouTube channel, Done For You Journals, where I share tips and tools to help you make passive income, creating your own custom journals, workbooks, and eventually that bucket list book that you can sell on Amazon for free. Today on the show, I have Loreto Cheyne. I hope I'm saying it right.
Nope.
From, how do you say your last name?
Cheyne.
Cheyne, Loreto
Yep.
Cheyne from Sassygreetingcards. I met her at the Fearless Women's Summit this past April. I loved her energy, and I thought I saw her selling her cards and journals. I'm like, this could be a good person to interview. So I asked her, and she agreed. So welcome, Loreto, and thank you for agreeing to this interview.
Thank you for having me, Tina.
I would love for you to tell us a bit about who Loreto is, where she came from, your background, and where you live right now. So from where you were to where you are now, I thought was interesting.
A long
So when
story. Let me
we
make
got
it
time.
short. I came to Canada when I was 12 years old in 1980. So if you're any good with math, you'll be able to tell how old I am. I arrived in Timmins, Ontario, which, believe it or not, was a lot easier to live in than Ottawa. I went to university in Ottawa, traveled around for a while, and finally just I couldn't figure out what to do with my life. So I did some testing at Ottawa U, and graphic designer is the thing that popped up as a career that I would be suited for. So I did that. I got into the best school at the time. I am a graphic designer by trade. And when COVID came around, and I think that you're going to hear this a lot, I it brought about a big change for me because that's the time when you couldn't communicate with people. And honestly, everybody started using alternate methods of communicating. That's when I realized that I'd been designing greeting cards for a while. So I had a backlog of designs that were sitting there. And, I should have figured it out sooner, but I didn't. Took me a couple of years to get that sorted out. But that's when I realized that greeting cards is the thing that I wanted to use as a vehicle to connect with people. Fast forward to today, and greeting cards is my vehicle because I like to use humor and I like to talk to women around my age because we are the ones that I find need support and humor the most.
Mhm. I find
And
our age too is that we have more of a sense of humor. It's politically correct. It's acceptable.
when you've lived through some of these indignities, yeah, you get a sense of
Mhm.
humor. Yeah.
Nice.
So that I
Um,
think that's pretty.
so you had mentioned you've had a best friend,
Oh,
and this is
yeah.
how some of this started, that you kept in touch by way of cards.
Oh, no, 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 no. Letters, my friend.
Oh, with
Letters.
letters. See, and
Okay.
that doesn't hardly happen anymore.
It doesn't. I've stopped writing letters, but we still write each other cards. Okay. So what happened is the whole time that she and I have known each other, we've lived in the same city 6 years and we've known each other 40 years.
Wow.
Okay. So we decided, and it was a very mature decision at age 16 and 17, that we felt our friendship was important enough that we weren't going to let it slip away. So because I moved 9 hours away, Canada Post. That's what got you through back then. And don't forget, back then in the 80s, phone calls were also a lot more expensive than they are now.
Hmm.
So calling long distance was a treat. We did do that. But again, we fast forward to today. I ended up moving down to Southern Ontario, where a few of our other friends congregated. So I spent beautiful 5, 6 years living around there with my friends, and and it was just like a progression of our friendship. We've seen each other through, babies being born, getting married, that whole kind of thing until, now we're middle-aged ladies. So yeah.
Yeah, when you told me the story about your cards and how you and your friends still send each other cards, I'm like, that is so amazing.
And she finds me the best stuff, Tina. I don't know how the woman does it, but she has this unique ability to find the best cards ever. And they're on my fridge and I look at them and they remind me of her and I laugh. And I think this is something that somebody else needs to see. Somebody
Yeah,
else needs to laugh, you know?
that's cool. Okay, so tell us about your business, how
Okay.
Sassy Greeting Cards came about, and when did you decide to add journals into it?
Okay, so Sassy Greetings began in 2023, officially in January. And it took me quite a while to figure out how to go from a service-based business, being a graphic design provider, to selling a physical product. So that took me quite a while. So through various government agencies, I did some work and figured it out, got a Shopify website, and finally started figuring out how to take photographs, how to write the meta captions, doing all the kind of stuff that goes into selling your cards. And then I got into the journals last summer because that's something that my best friend and I had always wanted to do together. Specifically, the perimenopause journal was the thing that was kind of the what set it off.
Do you have a
Because
copy of one with you right now?
yeah,
Let me see
uh,
it.
yeah.
So, Perry, I like that.
So this is the
Okay.
first version of it, okay?
Mm-hmm.
That was the first edition. So now I see what needs to be improved, and
Mm-hmm.
it will happen. But that one was, and the reason that I got into the journals was a whole bunch of reasons. I'll show you the first one. Ah,
Show me.
she's moved
Oh.
away. Okay.
Mhm.
The first reason is that there's a lot of journals out there and they're not funny.
Yeah.
They're sweet. There's a certain retail store where we buy stuff and they're cute, they're okay. But see that grammatical error there, a
Buttercup.
comma,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
stuff like that. Just
Tracy Grayson.
it drives a stake through my heart, so I can't
Oh.
see that. And then you have stuff like this, which is, it's sweet, it's cute,
Mm-hmm.
it's pretty, but it's generic.
Yeah.
Okay. So I wanted to create journals because, in essence, they were an extension of the greeting cards. So the humor was the most important part of it. I felt that the covers of them had to be fun and funny, like the greeting cards, but they had to speak to a certain audience. So
Yeah.
again, middle-aged women. The perimenopause one was because you and I both know the indignities that we've lived through that stage of our lives. So I
Mm-hmm.
figured, okay, why don't we take a negative, make it into a positive? And what I've done is throughout the journal, I've sprinkled in little tidbits so that you know what's ahead, what to expect, and let's just have a laugh. I even wrote a
That's
poem about it. So,
that's
I
nice.
mean, it's not great poetry.
And it's not that, it's the whole idea is that you did this because it was something that you felt was important, but also like that humor is absolutely essential. So when you talked about journals, is I was thinking
Yeah.
like I started journals. Oh my God, a while ago. I think 2012 or 13 when I created my first book. I had created Turn Your Cottage into Profit. And it's
Saw
funny
that.
when you think about that book.
Yeah.
And then I found out the process was the same for creating a journal as it
As
is
it is
because
for
it's
a
a self.
book. I
And then I
discovered
was
that
like,
too.
I loved it. And I was like, well, I'm always buying people journals, and they're like, nah. But I like solid, either solid colors or something with funny. So my last one that I had created was not today, heifer, not my problem. And I was like, that's what I wanted was little things like that. But also it's like, okay, well, when you get that idea, you want to make passive income. Then we go about selling it. So, which brings me to the next question is, what was the first step you took to start creating your journal? Did you just come up with random ideas, or did you talk to your friends, or did you see, like, if I'm looking for this, somebody else must be looking for something like this?
The easiest thing was to draw from what I already had designed. So there were a number of greeting cards that lent themselves really, really well to creating the cover of a journal. I'll show you one, which is the easiest example, okay?
So I love
That's the
that one.
easiest example.
Yep,
Different color, different feel,
yep,
but that was the easiest thing to do. Again, I didn't want to just create sweet, soft, feminine things.
Mm-hmm.
We have a lot of that, and that is not what I am.
Mm-hmm.
You know, at
You're a
our
woman
age,
with a personality.
we get to be a little gritty, I think.
Mm-hmm.
We just don't have time for everyone's BS anymore. So that reflected that. So the first part, the design part of the covers was easy.
Mm-hmm.
The research of how to create the journals, how to make them feasible, how to make them um, affordable, and how not to have this take 5 months of my life. I spent a lot of time. I'm talking 4 to 8 solid weeks of
Okay.
researching this and figuring out how I was going to do it. And finally, my best friend said, there's this link. Look at this woman's video. She teaches you step by step and then how to publish it. And then you can get author's proofs, I think they're called,
Mm-hmm. Yes,
to
through
see what it'll
Amazon
look
KDP.
like. Yeah, so my
Yeah.
first run came with I didn't prove correctly, and it came with an error in every one of them, and they were off
Mm.
centered, and they were not, the covers were shiny, and I didn't like them. So
Okay.
there was a lot to go through to
Like
get to
before.
this, which even this version isn't great. I don't love them anymore. So
Oh,
it's version 2, you
okay.
know?
So
Yeah.
one of the things that I had learned, it was with the proof with Amazon KDP, I didn't like it because it put a big line through it, so you just wasted a book.
Oh yeah.
And I did not like it.
Yep.
I'm like, I'd rather have the proof, it be out on display. I can pull it down and put it back up.
Yeah.
And when I had found that out, I'm like, well, why didn't anybody tell me this before? But it's from the version of writing a book. Once it's out on Amazon, others publishing companies can take it and sell it under still your name, but sell it under them. So I think that's why some people don't want to do that. But when you put a book out on Amazon, it doesn't get noticed right away unless you have the specific keywords, the algorithms that work well. So I learned that lesson with the proof is if I'm going to buy the book and I think it's pretty good, I'm doing it live published. Nobody sees it unless all of a sudden they're looking for that specific book. And then
Yeah.
if it doesn't work, I can tweak it.
Okay. Okay.
So for you, you found, do you still do the proof copies when
I
you're making your
haven't
book?
done them. This actually, it's really funny. Um, you get busy, but actually today, after I get off this phone call with you, I'm starting the new redesign of the next better version
Okay.
because I actually did a lot of product testing about 2 months ago. And from the research that I did there, now I know what I'm going to get for the next session. And then it'll be time for proofing and getting my copies and all that, which will be a whole different thing.
Mm-hmm.
So right
So,
now I'm concentrating on redesign.
okay. And so how are you able to stay on track? Like to get your books, your journals created, do you have a process, a method so that, what would you tell the audience? How do you keep on track because life gets in the way?
I think yes, the process, yes. I think the process is going to be the same for a lot of business owners who work from home.
Mhm.
You get to a point where either you get disciplined or you don't. And it took me such a long time, okay? Because, the birds are singing and, oh, it's sunny out and all the laundry needs to be done, right?
Yep.
So it took me a while, but I find that now using my Google Calendar, you know how it color codes everything for you? Somehow I'm magically able to do that in my iPhone, okay?
That's
I
good.
I live by the timer. I set the timer on 20 minutes for pretty much everything. And you get to a point where your body knows what 20 minutes feels like.
Yeah.
Shouldn't I be having a break now?
It's like a tea break.
So,
I gotta go.
so really, having that time blocking done in my calendar,
That's good.
knowing that I have to do it even if I hate what I'm doing, and having the alarm in my phone go off. And
Mhm.
there's days, Tina, when I'm literally counting the seconds because I hate the task,
Mhm.
but I say it's only 20 minutes. You can do 20 minutes.
I like that. I didn't even think about that. It's only 20 minutes. I could do 20 minutes. Because I'm struggling on finishing my planner and it's so big and it's just I'm having trouble just even looking at it. I'm like, no, I keep putting it off. So I
Okay,
like your idea
I
of chunk it
think you
down.
need to break it up. I think you
Yeah.
need to break it up because, for instance, that's another thing that I do. Break up the task. Today is only research. Today is only to sign the cover. Tomorrow, I'm talking to people about the product and what they thought and going over my notes and picking out the things I'm going to do. So that has also been really useful, picking out really, really specific things to do. Otherwise, you're going to waste your time. You're going to get distracted. You're going to go to Facebook and you're going to start scrolling.
Oh, I did. 3 hours later, I was like, I said I was going to do this today. What happened? Yeah. I'm gonna put this as a note. And I like to put little funny quotes in my journals for myself, but I also add them to my journals later. It's only 20 minutes. Get it done. And I was like, yeah, I like that.
It's only 20 minutes. And honestly, that's the one thing that's been able to keep me kind of focused and on task.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
it's a lot.
So what advice would you give somebody who's trying to create their own journal or eventual book? What advice would you give them to get moving on it? What would be the first thing you would suggest to them?
I think the first thing that I would tell them is to figure out why you want to do this. And honestly, I think that this advice applies to anything you do. Um, you know how sometimes you do things because you should?
Mhm.
Okay, well, why do you want to write this book? There has to be some deep burning reason inside of you, right? So once you figure that out, write it out and get it to one sentence. Get really, really clear on why you're doing this. And this is something that I do with my graphic design clients. Tell
Mhm.
them, why do we have to create this banner? Why do we have to create this campaign? Why are we doing this ad?
Mhm. Not
Well,
because
because it's
somebody
summer,
else
we
said
have to
so.
advertise. Okay, but why?
Mhm.
You know? So figure out why you're doing the journal or book and get it written down to one sentence. Write it out someplace
Mhm.
where you can see it, and that should motivate you and keep you going, you know?
I have, for me, it's like the vision board. I have my little book dream planner on there. It's like it's to remind me this is why you're doing it. You wanted this. If you don't, take it off and put something else that will inspire you. So I
Yeah,
appreciate that advice. That is good. It's
yeah.
like, oh, okay. So show me a few of your items that you think people would appreciate because I like your humor. So I like the purple one that get that shit done. The perimenopause. What's the other one? Are
See,
those
that's the only ones that I have right now.
okay?
But
How many more are you working on?
I'll tell you tomorrow. But this book, this little notebook, is
Yeah,
full of ideas. The
nice.
whole
And
thing.
that's important, right?
Oh my
Having
God.
your ideas and putting them in there. I have mine
Get a
now.
journal and write your ideas down because you're not, trust me, at our age, you are not going to remember.
Exactly. And those nighttime ideas that you get, you're like, oh, I gotta write that down. Like, oh, but I have to get out of bed. No,
Oh,
I
no, no,
like
no,
yours.
no, 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 no. You have a notebook on your bedside table and a pen.
Yep, I love it.
Oh, yeah. That saved my skin more than once. Okay, so I'll show you quickly. Oh, you've already seen
I
the
love that
sarcasm
one.
one
Sarcasm, I put that on everything.
on everything.
Let's hope YouTube doesn't say
Yep, you have the
um,
perimenopause one. This one
the
will, this is
journey.
the
Does it
next
say
one,
the journey of the
the
perimenopause
journey. Yeah,
into perimenopause? Okay,
yes, because it is a
excellent.
journey that has many interesting twists and turns, and you're going to go through a lot of body symptoms, body and mind, and that will be reflected in there. I like this one because
What does it say? The official
notebook
notebook
of
of
getting
getting shit done.
done.
Okay.
This one is it's not a journal per se, it's more like a notebook for you to
Yeah,
keep your thoughts together.
I like
It's
that.
either a to-do or a to-day list.
Okay.
And that's what it's meant to do. And you know why I did this? It's because I got tired of having little pieces of paper all over the house with the stuff I had to do. I'm telling you,
Mhm.
it was a paper mess.
Yep,
Okay.
I
So
agree 100%.
I use one of these for everything now. I literally have 55 of these guys running around for
Okay,
one specific thing.
good.
This one is a really this one is interesting
That's
because I find that teenage girls buy this one.
so yeah,
Yeah. Or their
100%.
mothers buy it for them as a gift, which is surprising to me. I didn't think teenage girls would be into this. What else have I got? And that's all I got for you right now, my friend. That's why I'm working on new ones because
Nice.
they need to be updated. They were a good first run, but I'm ready for better. It's 2.0.
So where can people reach you to find out more about your products? Your
If
website, your email,
Yep,
telephone?
if they want to check out my website, hopefully you can see this.
Stand up. Sassy Greetings. Is it
So it's
sassygreetings.com?
simple. Sassygreetings.ca.
.ca. Perfect.
Yes,
Okay.
it's got all the
Go
products in
there.
there, and you can email me from there as well.
Perfect. Thank you,
Yeah.
Loreto, for meeting, for interviewing, for giving people a wonderful advice. And for those of you who want more information on tips and tools, remember to go check out my YouTube channel or my website, doneforYouJournals.com. Thanks and have a wonderful day. Bye.